welcome back, club members. I have to say I am very excited about this month. I love choosing these wines, and often we try and look for champagnes that have a connection. Now, we have two very distinct houses representing this month's club. We have Leclerc-Brion, what an amazing house, and we have Souterrain, both exceptional houses. Both have a very unique identity, but the reason that I've chosen these two producers and the connection of the wines this month is about the idea of a subsoil with a clay element to it. Now, most of us know that Champagne as a region, as an appellation, has a chalk bed, and that's throughout the region, but you do have some different sub-terroirs, some different subsoils, and the theme for this month is looking at what role does this red clay have on the impact of the wines? And I will get to that in the tasting, but let me introduce the two houses. Souterrain. Now, this is a family estate. The first person to put the family name on the label was Gerard Souterrain. So in the 1950s, not uncommon for this period of time for the families to stop selling their grapes to the bigger houses, the Grand Marques, and to start to put their own label on the bottle. It's been family owned ever since. Gerard started the production, passed to his eldest son, Alain, in 1969. It was then his daughter, Valerie, still at the helm of the house, who took over in 1999, tending to their 6 acres in a very sustainable and now very organic way. Where we are located, we are in the Montagne de Reims. This is a particular area within Champagne that really does like Pinot Noir, although the wine that we're tasting today has a dominance of Chardonnay. And Montbonnais as a region is a Grand Cru region, and it really does produce grapes and wines of really ample, bold texture and style. And we're going to see that in the cuvee that we're tasting with this Maison today. So 6 hectares, not making an enormous amount, mainly Grand Cru grapes, and certainly the case with the signature brut, which we are sending out to everybody around Australia in this month's club. The second Maison, I have to say, I've had the chance to visit Leclerc-Brion. If I was to give this house a word, I'd say it's classy. But there are many words that you could describe this house by. Experimental. They are really progressive. They have such a passion for the environment, and not just a new passion. We talk a lot these days about the idea of organics. So abstaining from the use of any herbicides and pesticides in both the vineyard and in the wine production process, but also biodynamics, so going a step further and looking at the vineyard as a holistic being, working with the cycles of the moon, back to Rudolf Steiner's principles. I would say that the house would have to be one of the first. So we're talking 1950s, 1960s, when they first started experimenting with biodynamics and organics, which is the trailblazers. They're well ahead of schedule. The house originally founded in 1872, so we've got some significant time and some significant experience. Originally founded in a town called Cumières, and then moved to Epernay, where the house is now located, in around 1955. This is a similar time frame to when the Souterrain family were really starting to explore their terroir and their winemaking prowess. So we've got some commonality of where these changes were being made. And coming down through time, we have had some changes in ownership. We did lose the heirs at one point and new owners coming into play, but the passion remains. We have Hervé Justin, who is the winemaker at the helm of the house today. He's so experimental. When I went to visit the cellars, I was wildly impressed. They're very sexy. They're very sleek. They're very clean. It's very modern. And, almost a little bit mind-blowing in that you see such a diversity of vessel. I was looking at these glass demijohns, these glass tanks that they're aging their wines in. They've got stainless steel, they've got oak barrel, they've got a mix of vessels that they're experimenting with their wines. Everything's natural, so you're not using any pumps. Everything's sort of running according to gravity, so you're not heating up the wine, you're not transforming those wines. It's a really non-interventionist way of making champagne. But bloody hell are they good. I have to say, I had the chance to try everything when I was in Champagne, but from the very entry-level cuvee, which is not the easiest to get, I will tell you, they are simply phenomenal. I've just put my nose in a glass, which is super exciting. I haven't done that for a couple of years. I haven't looked at these wines, which are quite hard to get and they are quite expensive. I haven't looked at the wines in a couple of years, and damn, They got a lot to say. It was very exciting to put my nose in it. So let's talk about the 2 wines of each house. Lovers, what you're getting. Connoisseurs, what you're getting in addition to your Souterrain. Bloody good lineup, I have to say. And forgive me for swearing, but I think it's warranted. Souterrain, Family Souterrain, it is a Grand Cru. It's coming from Embonnet. This particular cuvee, we are leading with Chardonnay. I love Grand Cru Chardonnay. For me, that is a real sweet spot. The house is a minimum of 5-year aging. We've got about 7 years now with some bottle age. I love what Chardonnay does as a great varietal when she starts to show her characteristic as she ages, as she develops. Like all great women, we get a little bit more complex. Chardonnay being the feminine being of the vineyard. So we're leading with 70 Chardonnay and 30% Pinot Noir. We don't have any Pinot Meunier in the blend. It is all Grand Cru fruit, and it's Grand Cru fruit from Embonnet. You see that beautiful golden color on the wine, quite a soft mousse, quite a delicate attack. You've got a 5.6-ish, 5.5 gram of dosage. So that final part of influence to balance acidity in the wine, we have a dosage, about 5.6 grams. The first word for me is ample. There's a generosity on the wine, and I do think that that's hallmark Souterrain. And it's also coming back to the idea of where the grapes are grown with this clay and lime subsoil. Toasty notes, cream, butter, brioche, almond, hallmark classic Grand Cru Chardonnay. The base on this wine is 2018, I think. It's lacking a tiny bit in the mid palate for me. Not as ample as I've seen these wines previously, but still very elegant, very supple, and very balanced. There's no oak utilized in this wine. It's a very clean wine style, but it's had the time to really find some finesse and some roundness in the cuvee. It's a beautiful Grand Cru Chardonnay wine with some generosity on the palate, and that's coming from the clay. Damn, I was super impressed by this wine. My advice to you when drinking a champagne like Le Clos Briand, take it slow. I wouldn't be sharing this with anyone who, I shouldn't say this, but I really wouldn't be sharing this with anyone who doesn't truly appreciate champagne. I wouldn't be sharing this champagne with anyone more than 1 or 2 people that have an appreciation with champagne. I would even go so far as to say as to serve it in a wine glass, not in a champagne flute. Our new glasses, which have a bit more angularity, a bit more volume, are perfect for this wine. Take it slow. You know, for me as a storyteller in Champagne, I love to tell the history and the story of some of these great houses. This wine is a storyteller. It's got layers and layers and layers. My first note was energetic. It's bright, it's electric, it's alive. This is where you are seeing biodynamics and organics come to fruition. They're not doing biodynamics and organics because it's trendy. They're not doing it because it's something that they think they're going to gain credit for. They're doing it because it's the best way for Le Clos Briand and Hervé to express the wine. And it is doing just that in the glass. It is telling a story. For me, the first thing that I smell, the first note, the first aroma is aniseed. There is a spice, there's a herbaceous note to it. From there, I get really bright, defined, clean basket of red fruit, of red juicy apples. There is so much going on. I would love to sit with this wine just a little bit longer, but I can't do that tonight. On the palate, texture. This is the word for this month, texture. This is what clay is bringing to the wine. Chalk in Champagne brings a linearity, brings a minerality, brings a precision, brings a real finesse. This element of having some base wines grown in a subsoil with just a little bit more of that clay is bringing texture, the feeling, the generosity. I love this on the palate. It's chewy, it's got dimension, it's got layers and layers and layers, and it just keeps going. Now, I had a sip of this wine before and it kept talking to me and talking to me and talking to me, and it was drawing me in, and it kept wanting me to come back for another sip or another glass, and I would gladly do that with this wine. It really is a sensational cuvee. If that's their beginning, can you imagine where they go from here. This is one of the first houses that ever experimented with the idea of a lieu-dit, a single vineyard parcel, really expressing the terroir of the Champagne region and some of the house parcels which are significant. Furthermore, if you can, they've got a wine called the Abyss, which is aged under the sea. So this experimental nature is very much the core and at the heart of the house, where they're constantly looking on how they can improve, but also how they can allow the wines to talk using different vessels and different expressions of the land. So here we have it. 2 sensational wines. Souterrain Grand Cru, located in the village of Embonnay, started in the 1950s. Le Clerc-Brion, sensational house, founded in 1872, a culture of experimentation. They are trailblazers. Honestly, these champagnes are as good as they get. We are seeing 2 wines that have sub-terroirs of clay, symbolized by the red inside of the capsule from Le Clerc-Brion. Make sure you have a look at that. Wines of texture, wines of depth, wines of power. I hope you enjoy them both. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're watching us here. If you are not a club member yet, what are you doing? We've got some amazing champagnes on the water. We've got a whole new container on its way of champagnes that have never ever been in Australia before. This for us is like Christmas every single month. Thank you for joining me. We appreciate your time. I look forward to seeing you at an event very soon. And if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to send me an email or hit me up on social.